Mia, you've done a great job with the birth. Can I hold the baby too? Of course. The baby will be happy too. Tim, let's make sure we all stay happy together. When I went to the hospital, I saw a man holding a newborn baby, with a woman watching them happily. It was a very warm scene, but to me, it was chilling. Because the man holding the newborn baby was my husband, Tim. I quietly peeked through the gap in the door, took out my phone, and secretly took some photos. Then I sent them to certain people. And I murmured, Tim, you must be happy. Everyone says they want to celebrate you. It looks like it's going to be the best day ever. Knowing everything already, I left the hospital with a sinister smile. The next time I heard my husband's voice was a week later. He had just returned from a business trip and opened the door to his parents' house. Right away, he looked puzzled at the sight of the many shoes lined up at the entrance, as I had expected. Tentatively stepping inside, he immediately found me and called out, Hey, Hillary. What's going on today? There were a lot of shoes at the entrance. He was puzzled because it was rare to see so many shoes lined up at the entrance. Actually, Tim, today the family has gathered. It happened suddenly, so I didn't have time to tell you. While it was an annual tradition for the family to gather at his parents' house, today was just an ordinary Sunday, which seemed to make him even more curious about the reason. Besides, about 15 family members had gathered today. It's rare for this many people to gather unless it's something special. However, although today might be an ordinary Sunday for him, it is a special day for me. And once I tell him the reason, it will be an unforgettable day for him too. But it wouldn't be fun to reveal it right away, so I led him to the living room without explaining the reason. Today is a very important celebration. Tim, please have a seat. Smiling sweetly, I could see his confusion deepen, but he sat in an empty seat as I had asked. Looking around at the many family members, he seemed to be trying to figure out the reason for the gathering but couldn't come to an answer and asked me again. Something's not right, Hillary. This isn't normal. You said it's a big celebration, but everyone looks angry. Tell me what's going on. All right, but before that, tell me about your business trip. How did it go? I decided to divert the topic by asking about his recent business trip. He had gone to Miami for an important business deal. My husband works at his father's company and is expected to take over as the head someday. Not only because he is the president's son but also because he has the skills and is highly regarded within the company. Everyone at the company believes he will be the next president. He himself is aware of his role and takes his work seriously. Being entrusted with an important business deal is the result of his daily efforts. He had also talked about wanting children as his successors. It might be something far off, but it's crucial to him, and he often says he wants a boy. This business trip went well too. The deal was successful. I need to keep working hard to be recognized by Dad. Speaking of successors, we should have kids soon. I know infertility treatments are tough for you, but I'll support you. It's been 2 years since we got married, but we don't have children yet. I'm undergoing infertility treatments, and my husband is supportive. He was kind when we first got married. But he had changed without me noticing. Recalling the past and biting my lower lip, I decided to reveal today's celebration to him. Today is a celebration for you. I gathered the family for this. A celebration for me? It's not my birthday, and I can't think of any reason. No reason? That's odd. Something wonderful happened, didn't it? A cute baby was born, right? At that moment, his face clearly clouded over. He seemed to understand immediately from my words and expression, and his eyes started to dart around nervously. He must have been deeply unsettled by my severe expression. That's right, Tim. Today is a celebration of a birth. Everyone is here to celebrate you. Aren't you happy? What are you talking about, Hillary? We don't have a child yet. How can there be a birth celebration? With an awkward smile, he tried to play dumb. He probably thought I knew nothing, but that wasn't the case. I'm the one who doesn't understand. The husband who was supposed to be on a business trip was holding a baby in a hospital. I saw everything. You saw me at a hospital? What nonsense! I was definitely on a business trip. I wasn't at any hospital. You must be mistaken. He denied it immediately, despite his unease. Of course, I knew he wouldn't admit it. I had taken the photos at the hospital to prevent him from getting away with it. I showed him the pre-prepared photos. They clearly showed him holding the baby. He stared at the photos, completely frozen and silent. The business trip and the deal were all lies. I know everything. You ditched our anniversary to meet my sister, didn't you? Yes, the woman at the hospital with my husband was my sister, Mia. Not only did he deceive me, but he also had an affair with my sister. He must have no sense of ethics at all. As he remained silent, his complexion worsened. Looking down, he asked in a trembling voice. Hillary, are you saying everyone is angry with me? Just after I nodded slightly, my husband looked around quickly. Suddenly, he was surrounded by our relatives, all of whom were standing. Every face he looked at was filled with anger. Especially his parents, their faces were red with rage, and they were trembling. Tim. You've done something unforgivable. Apologizing won't make it right, but apologize to Hillary right now. This is unbelievable. You even had a child with Hillary's sister. Tim, you've deceived all of us. His parents were so angry they seemed ready to explode at the slightest touch. But along with their anger, they looked deeply disappointed. My husband changed the moment he found out I was infertile. When I told him the test results, he comforted me with a smile. But I remember the coldness in his eyes, it sent chills down my spine. He pretended to support my infertility treatments, but it was all an act. He played the good husband to avoid suspicion while he was cheating. Everyone, let me explain about Tim and me. Recently, he's been acting suspiciously. He started working on weekends and staying late, canceling our plans, and locking himself in a room with his phone. So I decided to follow him. I saw him secretly meeting my sister. I even saw them enter a hotel together. I discovered him at the hospital because I had been following him. I realized he was cheating long before I saw him at the hospital. Even though I knew beforehand, seeing him hold my sister's baby was shocking. It solidified my resolve to get revenge. The faces of the relatives surrounding my husband grew more severe. Surrounded by 15 people, my husband seemed genuinely frightened, unable to look straight ahead. Your silence means you admit everything, right? Tim, you've disappointed me. You've done something truly stupid. Did you ever think about Hillary's feelings? This is an unforgivable betrayal. Do you understand that? Again, his parents directed their anger at him, but he remained silent. He just kept his head down, unresponsive, as if deep in thought. As Raphael said, my husband had done something irreparable. The least he could do was admit everything and apologize. All the relatives watching him probably felt the same way. They were all waiting for him to apologize. But in the next moment, his unbelievable response made things even worse. Is it really something to get so angry about? Hillary is the one at fault here, so don't blame me. Instead of apologizing, he completely turned the tables. It seemed he had used the silence to steel himself. Naturally, his parents and the relatives' anger only intensified, their gazes becoming as sharp as knives. Even watching it was terrifying, but my husband continued calmly, unperturbed. It's Hillary's fault for being infertile. If I had known, I wouldn't have married her. I wanted a son to carry on the family name, but Hillary let me down. So it's not my fault. I'm the victim here. Tim, are you out of your mind? You're saying you cheated with Mia because Hillary is infertile? Exactly. Hillary may look good, but since she couldn't give me a child, I turned to Mia. Mia met my expectations and gave me a cute baby. I should have married Mia from the start. With a twisted smirk, my husband spoke shamelessly. It was a ridiculous story to anyone listening, but he acted like it was perfectly normal. He must have known that saying something like that would only make everyone angrier. But he still said it, maybe because he truly believed I was at fault. The in-laws' household was filled with an unusual atmosphere, yet my husband continued talking without a care. Mia had been living alone, estranged from Hillary. So I thought it wouldn't be easy to get caught. And until the baby was born, it wasn't discovered. The only miscalculation was Hillary following me. I thought she was a weak woman who couldn't do anything. Hillary, you've impressed me a bit. He laughed at me as if he were enjoying it. His eyes looked at me like I was trash. I couldn't fulfill his expectations, but did he have to say such things? He probably saw women as nothing more than tools for bearing children. There's no other explanation for his insane comments. More than sadness or frustration, I felt pity for him. A heavy silence fell over the room, but the next moment, Phil grabbed my husband with such force it seemed like he would fly. Enough, Tim. Hillary wanted a child with you. She tried hard with the infertility treatments. She didn't choose to be infertile. She probably suffered more than you. Your job was to support her. How could you betray her like this? Answer me. Phil was so angry that it scared everyone present. Usually calm, his outburst worried everyone. Everyone moved to stop him, fearing the situation would get worse. But no one could actually touch him, as they all felt the same anger towards my husband. It was clear that they were all thinking of me, and tears welled up in my eyes. Calming down, Phil made a final decision. You are disowned. I no longer see you as my son. And you will leave the company. Never contact us again. What? No way. Just for cheating? Disowning me? This is absurd. And I'm the heir. What about the company? When you retire, no one can manage it. We can't manage without you? Don't make me laugh. You might be competent, but you're not special. More importantly, someone who can't protect his family can't protect the company. Understand this. You can't be president or anything else. I wanted a child for the company's sake. I've worked hard for the family and the company. You don't get it, Dad. He looked serious at this moment. There was no lie in his words. But that only made Phil and the relatives more disheartened. He wanted a child just to secure the company's future. For that reason, I was discarded because of my infertility. No one could understand such thinking. Everyone realized Phil's words weren't reaching him. The tense gathering at the Inoue household came to a temporary end. After Mia was discharged from the hospital, we agreed to meet again for a discussion. As promised, after some time, my husband, his parents, Mia, and I gathered at the Inoue house. By the way, my parents weren't present because they had already passed away. My sister and I had supported each other until we graduated from high school, but we had become estranged since then. Seeing her at the hospital was the first time in years, and I thought she had grown into a beautiful and refined woman. I thought I might be able to have a conversation with my sister. But I was about to realize how naive that thought was. Sis, what were you thinking? I heard you followed Tim and secretly took pictures. And then you spread them to the family? Are you out of your mind? Do you think you can get away with causing trouble for everyone? Even though she took my husband, this is her attitude. She's the one causing trouble, not me. At that moment, I had to accept it. My sister was just as crazy as my husband. The reason we became estranged was that she suddenly turned against me one day. Maybe I spoiled her too much, not wanting her to feel deprived, but she started hanging out with bad people, and her attitude toward me got worse and worse. The sister in front of me now looked refined, showing no trace of her past self. But I thought she hadn't changed inside. That's what you say to your sister after seeing her for the first time in years? After taking my husband, this is your attitude? Your sister raised you as a parent, and this is how you repay her. What? I didn't take him away. You couldn't have kids, so I had to do it for you. And it's only natural for a sister to raise her sibling in place of their parents. Isn't that what family is for? This is pointless. What are you saying? Hillary went through so much pain after losing her parents, yet she endured everything for your sake. You should know that better than anyone. Don't you have any gratitude? Yes, I appreciate it. So, we're talking about the affair, right? As I said, I didn't cheat. Tim was going to leave you anyway. Honestly, it's your fault for betraying Tim. A woman who can't have kids is worthless. It's the one who gets betrayed that's to blame. My sister brazenly said this in front of my in-laws, sneering as if she were mocking me from the bottom of her heart. But she wasn't lying, she was speaking her true feelings. She genuinely believed I was at fault. That's why she didn't show any remorse, and even though my in-laws were furious, she remained unfazed. My sister continued to speak, glaring at my in-laws. You're so deceitful, sis. You married Tim for money, right? You wanted to use him to secure a good life. We were poor with no parents, so I get it. But I don't care about money. Even if Tim doesn't become president, I truly love him. So don't get in my way. Her words were ridiculous, but she seemed sincere. She claimed to value love over money and fame. It looked like she was enjoying defying me, just like in the past. She, like my husband, underestimated me, thinking I couldn't do anything. I clenched my fists, realizing this was my chance. Then I took a brown envelope from my bag and showed its contents while speaking. Mia, I don't intend to get in your way. There's no need for that. Here, this should make things clear. What? What is this? No way. Inside the envelope were photos and documents. The photos showed my husband with several different women. Yes, he was cheating not only with my sister but with others as well. I had hired a private investigator to get proof of their affair, and that's how I discovered his other affairs. Seeing the truth about the man she loved, my sister's anger reached its peak. She glared fiercely at my husband and began to question him. Tim, what's with these pictures? You have other women besides me? I told you at the hospital that we'd all be happy together. What were you thinking when you heard that? Answer me. Calm down, Mia. Those pictures must be faked by Hillary. She's trying to bring us down. You trust me, right? For the first time, my husband showed real fear. He probably thought he could bluff his way through if it was just about me following and photographing him. But now that he knew I had hired a private investigator, he couldn't make any easy excuses. My sister, unable to accept reality, muttered in a daze. Hillary faked these pictures. Right. That must be it. Tim would never betray me. Hillary, you can't fool me. She stopped short, staring straight into my eyes, and I did not look away. For a few seconds, we locked eyes, and then she seemed to realize something and spoke to my husband. Sorry, Tim. But Hillary isn't lying. She's always been honest, even to a fault. I've never seen her lie. Besides, faking evidence from a private investigator isn't easy. Hearing my sister's words, my husband looked at me. He couldn't say anything, remaining silent. I had never lied during our marriage, and he knew that. Seeing him and my sister defeated, I continued. Tim. You just wanted a child, right? You went to hotels with other women too. Mia was the first to get pregnant, so you let her have the baby. If someone else had gotten pregnant first, you would have discarded Mia. Isn't that right? He couldn't say anything, but his silence was as good as a confirmation. Clearly, he saw women as nothing more than tools for bearing children. My sister, who had been so cocky, turned pale with shock. But she couldn't stay silent and unleashed her fury. Don't mess with me, Tim. How could you deceive me? I didn't care about money. I just wanted to raise our child together. How are you going to take responsibility? I didn't mean to deceive you. I was desperate for a child. I thought it was better to have backups. But you had the baby, so I cut ties with the others. Can't you let it go? What's with that attitude? You think you can treat me like this? I can't let it go. My in-laws were exasperated by my sister's escalating anger. In the end, both my husband and my sister only thought about themselves. They were fine with hurting others, but the moment they got hurt, they couldn't take it. Such pathetic, pitiable people. Mia, isn't it wrong to be so angry? You said it yourself, the one who gets betrayed is at fault. So why are you complaining? Just shut up already. When I snapped back, my sister couldn't say a word. Only when she was hurt did she understand others' pain. It was too late. She was delusional, but I also reflected on my own actions. As her guardian, I had a responsibility. I should have done more when she started hanging out with bad people. Mia, let's build a happy family together. Our child will be the heir. I'll work hard to raise them. What? Marriage is impossible. You had relations with so many women and only let me have the baby because I was the first to get pregnant? You underestimate women. I can't trust you anymore. I'll raise this child alone. What? I worked hard to have an heir. Everything I did would be meaningless. Please, listen to me. You love me, right? I don't care about an heir. And you're leaving the company, right? It's all meaningless now. I never want to see you again. She burst into tears, but she brought this on herself. If anyone should cry, it's me. My husband also looked like he was about to cry, but he deserved his fate for betraying and hurting people. Tim, I'll divorce you as you wish. And I'll demand alimony, so be prepared. But don't think that paying money will make things right. Hell awaits you. Remember that. He glared at me but couldn't say anything and hung his head. I handed him the signed divorce papers and started to leave. Neither he nor my sister apologized, but it was useless to expect anything from them. Quietly, I left the house. A while later, I divorced him and received the alimony. But that wasn't the end of it. One day, my phone was flooded with missed calls. They were all from Tim. I knew why he was calling, but I ignored him, waiting to see what he would do. The calls didn't stop, so I eventually answered. Immediately, I heard Tim's faint voice. Please, Hillary, can you hide me? Some dangerous people are watching my house, and I can't go back. He sounded weaker than I had ever heard before, begging me over the phone. But I wasn't surprised at all. I had expected this outcome. One of the women he cheated with was married to a gangster. Tim met these women just to have children. Most of the photos showed him entering hotels, so there was no mistake. Even if the husband wasn't a gangster, being furious was natural. He deserved the consequences. I have no obligation to help you. We're strangers now. You betrayed me and my family, and now you want help? I told you, hell awaits you. Don't expect a normal life. Please, Hillary. I have no one else. I can't contact my parents or any relatives. I'm sorry for everything. I truly regret it. Please, help me. No. I want you to regret this for the rest of your life. I'll never forgive you. Don't call me again. I heard him screaming over the phone, but I calmly turned it off. Years later, I now live with a new family in a new home. I thought I was done with marriage, but I remarried. My current husband cherishes and supports me. I also gave birth to our long-awaited baby. We had a baby girl. I feel like I can do anything for her. This made me remember my sister when she was little. After our parents died, she was my reason to keep going. I was desperate to do anything for her, just like I am now. In the past few years, things changed between us. My sister apologized to me, even sending multiple apology emails. Raising her child made her realize the hardship. It's very late, but I see she's trying to change. I will never forgive her for what she did. but I hope she changes for her child's sake. That's my only wish.